What is going on, everybody out there in YouTube land? Revolution Hell Cowboy here. And this is my reaction video to WWE firing Hulk Hogan over some racist comments he just made. Or I guess they were not made too recently, but they were just now released. I guess the National Enquirer found a tape of Hulk Hogan saying something about his daughter Brooke, and apparently her possibly, having sex with, I guess, a record producer's son who happened to be African American. I don't know the full story other than what is being mentioned, but it's crazy. And I'm not going to defend what Hogan said. I've read what he said, and it's like, wow. He at least said the N-word multiple times, and he didn't have to go down that route. And, yeah, I can see because he's, 62 years old, or he's about to be 62. I know he was, I think, born in Georgia, I believe. If I remember right. I think he was born somewhere in the South. I'm going to look that up, but, WWE not only has fired Hulk Hogan, but are now erasing him from their history, or basically giving the Benoit treatment. Now, we all know what Benoit did, and what Benoit did wasn't right, even though there's been proof that because of all the concussions that Benoit had, that it messed Benoit up, and that's why he did what he did. And I'm not going to dispute that, because I know there's a lot of people who will defend Benoit, and then there's people who will say that Benoit deserves to get what he did, the treatment he got. Alright, yeah. Now, and I just looked up Hogan. He was born in Augusta, Georgia, and though now he lives in Florida. But, man, it's crazy. But like I said, WWE's going to erase Hogan from their history. That means don't expect a new Hollywood Hogan the Fine Moments figure from Mattel anytime soon. Don't expect him seeing 2K16. And this is going to be bad for a lot of their old footage. Anything involving Hulk Hogan, from WrestleMania 3 and all the other WrestleManias Hogan's main evented, episodes of Raw and Nitro, and I don't think he appeared on Raw that much except for in later years. And it's like, this is the single most biggest name in wrestling. Hulk Hogan is the reason why a lot of us are wrestling fans. At least, those of us who grew up in the Hogan era from the 80s through the 90s, and even the early 2000s. Now, I do believe he should be punished somewhat for his comments, because, yeah, he shouldn't be saying that word nowadays, but, the N-word. And once again, I'm not going to say it because I'm a white guy, and I don't like the word. I don't even like the version with the A in it, but the fact he had to say the version with the ER, that's just, yeah. And I'm going to quote a little bit what he said. The only thing I'm not going to say is the N-word, because I'm not going to get myself in trouble for saying it, even though I'm quoting it, but I'll probably quote it in Hogan's voice, but I'm going to omit the N-word. I will probably still say some of the cuss words he says, even though, maybe I shouldn't, but, oh well. So, yeah, I'm about to actually look that up right now. I'm on Wrestling Inc. They have a little bit of the transcript of the tape. So once again, I'm quoting this from Hulk Hogan, and like I said, I'll say everything but the N-word. Okay, in my Hogan voice. So at first he says, I guess we're all a little racist. Oh god, I can't do it. I've been rehearsing this too many times. And first of all, no, not really. Yes, some of us are a little racist, but it's not extreme racism like, back in the, days when Hogan was growing up, when racism was more of an issue, even though it's not like racism still don't exist with what's been going on in Ferguson and the recent church shooting in South Carolina, and the issue of the Confederate flag, even racism against Latinos with Donald Trump saying what he said about Mexicans. So it's not like racism is not an issue today, but it's not the biggest issue, though it has become one again this year. It's crazy. Okay, so I'm going to go back to quote Hulk Hogan. She is making some real bad decisions now. My daughter Brooke has jumped sides on me. I spent $2 or $3 million on her music career. I've done everything like a jackass for her. And then he also says, the one option Brooke had, Brooke's career, besides me, is to sell bitch records. Now here's the comments where he starts getting racist. I don't know if Brooke was fucking the black guy's son. I mean, I don't have double standards. I mean, I am a racist to a point. Fucking. And then he says the N-word. Alright. He says it, in the plural sense. But then when it comes to nice people and shit, and whatever. And the last thing he says, from what I'm reading, I mean, I'd rather if she was going to fuck some. Once again, says the N-word. I'd rather her marry an 8 foot tall. N-word again. Worth $100 million, like a basketball player. I guess we're all a little racist. Fucking. And then the N-word for like the 4th time. At least from what I'm reading. I'm sure he said it more than what I've seen on Wrestling Inc. And man, that hurt my voice. I've been trying to rehearse my Hogan voice, and it's not easy to do. So this is crazy. The fact that Hogan would say all this, but does it surprise me? No. And yeah, WWE is not wrong for maybe wanting to let Hogan out of his Legends deal, but to remove him from the website for what he said, to remove them from the history books, I mean, that's just too much. Now, keep in mind, he's not on the main roster. We don't see Hogan on Raw or SmackDown or any other show every week. He makes like a few appearances a year. So what if John Cena would have said something like this? And it's a big what if, because I can never see John Cena ever say anything like this. Or Seth Rollins, Brock Lesnar, The Undertaker, anyone else on the main roster, especially if it were a main eventer. What would they have done? Would they have fired them, suspended them? I mean, I don't know. And it's not like WWE hasn't fired someone for racism before, because they haven't. At least not that I can think of. Like the time when somebody, I guess in WWE's production crew or something, I can't remember the guy's job, like a PR person for WWE, ended up saying something racist towards Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio, assaults him, and guess who gets in trouble? Not the guy who said the racist comments, but Del Rio. And Del Rio gets fired. And well, at least Del Rio's still working in wrestling. He works for AAA in Mexico, and he's also on Lucha Underground, and even appears for Ring of Honor. But still, Del Rio was the wrong person to be fired. Yeah, I understand that it's not right for Del Rio to retaliate and slap someone and get into a fight just because they said something racist, but, it's still not right that that person didn't get fired or any further punishment other than maybe a little slap on the wrist or something, or maybe a cut in their pay for saying what they said to a major superstar on the WWE roster. And if anyone doesn't think Mr. McMahon is a racist, I kind of think he is. Since he doesn't employ a lot of minorities, we have little bit of African American people on the roster. I mean, we have a decent amount between the main roster and NXT. Very few Latinos, and hell, there's like nobody of Asian descent, of anywhere from Asia other than Hideo Itami. But the majority of their wrestlers are white. And when's the last time we had an African American world champion? I know we had Mark Henry back in 2011, and before that was Booker T in like 2006. And when it comes to the WWE Championship, all I can recall is the last champion that was a minority was, The Rock, who is half African American, half Samoan. But I can never recall anyone else that was of African American, African American origin that's ever been WWE champion, other than maybe tag champion or intercontinental champion. And of course, as I just mentioned, the World Heavyweight Championship, but not the WWE Championship. I don't know. I just think this is crazy. Once again, I do think Hogan should be punished some way for, saying what he said. But removing him from the record books, no. Because then how are you going to explain that Andre Giant got body slammed at WrestleMania 3? Or when the NWO forms, who was the third man? Apparently it was nobody. I don't know. I think WWE is blowing this out of proportion too much. I mean, in the Attitude Era, what would WWE done? Back when they were more controversial, when stuff like this kind of was the norm in WWE. Remember Nation of Domination, the pro-black group? I mean, back then it was like different, a little more acceptable, even though it wasn't really super acceptable. Nowadays, with WWE being PG, I guess I can understand they want to protect the kids, but it's up to the parents to decide what their kids watch and all that. And it's not like Hulk Hogan came on WWE TV and said this. I mean, unless these kids are all of a sudden search the internet and they see Hulk Hogan's tape and then they hear about it. But other than that, it's like, it's a big deal, but it's not. So anyways, I want you guys to sound off. Let me know what you think of the Hulk Hogan issue. What do you think about Hulk Hogan being fired and being removed from WWE's record books? I personally just think it's bull crap. And he doesn't really deserve the Benoit treatment. And once again, I'm not going to get on the Benoit issue because I'd rather keep neutral on that because that one's not a win argument. So, but with Hogan, it's a different story. So I think that WWE, like I said, they're overreacting and it's ridiculous. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning into this video. And as always, rock on and keep collecting.